Thank you. The first rule for live is that you should mute yourself as soon as you come on. That way, we don't have to hear you. Rule number 2, remain muted unless you have a question. You can either ask a question using the Q&A in the Google Meet, or raise your hand and I will see it on the screen. No joke, first period this morning, someone was upset that I did not answer their question. They raised their hand and had their camera shut off. So that's kind of where that was at. Number 3, be attentive. Don't fall asleep. I don't want to hear you snoring in the background. You just got to pay attention. You're going to have to take notes. That goes along with being attentive. Number 4, come on time. We will start our Google Meets at exactly the time listed, whether you are here or not. We have been given a clear directive that we are to start our Google Meets so that we can get a full half an hour in. So our start time is 10:45. That's what time we're going to start every day. I was told that even if we have nobody in the class yet, we should start teaching. And you'll just have to watch the video to catch up. Yep. It is what it is. All right. So, with that in mind, let's go to our first calculus lesson. I'm happy. You guys are happy. Everyone's pumped up. Yes, sir. In their graphs. Today we're going to learn about functions, domain, and range. All right. Everyone have that written down? How are you going to come to class unprepared? Function notation. Now this should all be review for you. Some of it's going to be like more of a review, stuff that you've seen for a long time. Others is not going to be. Like some of it I know that we struggled with last year. So function notation, y equals f parentheses x, or f of x, is what that's saying. Symbol f just represents a function in this notation. X is the independent variable. That's what goes into the function. Y is the dependent variable. That's what comes out of the function when you put x in. A function from a set D to a set Y is a rule that assigns a unique or single element f of x to a set Y for each element of x in D. You don't have to write all that down. That's just saying we have a domain, and for everything that's in the domain, there's a Y that comes out of it. You don't have to write the whole top. I wouldn't even worry about those either. The set D, which is all the possible input values, is called the domain. The set of all values of f of x as x varies through D is called the range. Basically, it works like this. For everything that's in the domain, there's exactly one answer that would come out in the range. Everyone good with that? Get that concept? Now I would write this down. So there's some common functions that we've seen throughout our time together. And how many years is this? It's 3 years I taught you guys? That's crazy. Yeah. It's a great question. That's a great question. Me either. So the function x squared, our domain goes from negative infinity to infinity. That means we can plug in an x value for every one of these. So then it never stops. If I want to plug in negative 10,000, I plug in negative 10,000. And I just square that. That's going to give me about, my numbers serve me correctly, 150 million. I made that up. That's not true at all. But basically, I can put in any x I want. Does anybody know what the shape of x squared looks like? Destiny, you are correct. It is a U. That's all right. That's all right. It is. It's just not straight. Correct. It's called a parabola. Okay, someone's getting bonus points. It ain't you, but someone is. Our range goes from 0 to infinity. Do you know why it's 0 to infinity? Why is it 0? Perfect. The y's don't go down any further. It stops at 0 and doesn't go down any further than that. It just stays there and goes back up. It's because any number squared becomes positive. Okay, you guys are smart. Ooh. This is y equals 1 over x. So first, our domain goes from negative infinity to 0 and stops. And then this u means it's a union, and it means it starts again at 0 and goes to infinity. Because of the parentheses, that means that 0 is not included. Anybody know why 0 is not included? It's because if we put 0 into the function, it'll give us 1 over 0. Can we divide by 0? Right. Remember what Cookie Monster taught us. We can't divide by 0. No, you can't do anything with it. The whole concept for that is if you go back to like your, say, 3rd or 4th grade year when you first started learning how to divide, it was like we started with a whole and we broke it into pieces. So like if we were doing 1/2, we cut the whole in half, right? Put one line and it became 1 out of 2 pieces. Here we can't have 1 out of 0 pieces. So that's why that's never going to work. So our function goes from negative infinity to 0 and from 0 to infinity. Our range does the same thing. It goes from negative infinity all the way up to 0 and then from 0 to infinity. But it will never actually be 0. So you'll never have a y that's 0. And here's what our graph of this function looks like. obviously a little rough looking. So that's what our graph of 1 over x looks like. Everyone good with that one? Yeah, we did all this in pre-calc. Next is the square root of x. Our domain for the square root of x is from 0 to infinity. We can't take the square root of 0, it's going to be 0. And then we can take the square root of any number that's bigger than 0. Why can't we take the square root of a number smaller than 0? Exactly. I can't take the square root of a negative. You don't have to. All right, so let's do square root of x. What's our graph going to look like for that? Anybody know? Starts at 0, goes up and to the right. All right, last graph would be the square root of 4 minus x. And that's going to go from negative infinity to 4 and stop. Why does it only go to 4? Not because of the bracket. That just tells us that it's stopping there and includes 4. What if I put 5 into my square root? So let's say I said x equals 5. When I plug that in up here, what's that give me? Four minus 5. Exactly, that's negative 1. So can I take the square root of a negative? No. That's why it stops at 4. Because I can't go any further, or else it'll give me a negative. Right. I don't even know what that means. What does that even mean? I hope there's like a swear word or something on here, man. Just kidding. I forgot to pause my thing, so. All right. Now, does anyone know what the graph of 4 minus x, square root of 4 minus x looks like? So think about if I plugged 4 in. 4 minus 4 would give me 0. Square root of 0 is just 0, right? So when x is 4, y is 0. What about when x is 3? Good, y is 1. 4 minus 3 is 1. Square root of 1 is 1. Yep, it'd be the square root of 2, which is going to be just a little higher than 1. Do we have an idea of what this graph looks like now? It's going to be coming back and going up. All right, everyone good? We will pick up here tomorrow because we only have 1 minute of class left. That's it. Why is this dumb, Gloria? Dang, I'm